I met Ken back in 1978.
Yeah?
Him and Rachel were down at the cabin. We were having a good old time. I think it's the most important thing about Ken is family. He's taught me and all his kids how to treat our wives, how to raise our children, and how to keep them safe. Thank you.
One of the very few adults I ever really knew, you know, because he was really grown
Yeah.
up in the nicest way.
Yeah.
You know, I knew a lot of grown-ups, but I didn't know very many adults.
Yeah.
And so in that way, he was like one of the few grown-ups that I really respected and really liked. You know, even though I only met him a few times.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, when I saw his obituary, it just had to come.
I guess long history with the family, being included in family and becoming kind of extended, non-related family. With Ken and Rachel's youngest son, Mark, we made early contacts out in South Dakota, and been a lifelong friendship. Lots of political gatherings, lots of Slaters together, lots of fond memories on sailboats, on hikes, at Ken and Rachel's house, and later Ken and Connie's house. Just a lot of real strong brotherly ties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Any favorite memory you can think of?
Well, it's hard to pinpoint any one. I mean, a sailing trip down to the Windward Islands in the Caribbean's come to mind.
Oh, wow.
But also sailing on the St. Croix, you know, a river that Ken just really loved. Times at the Capitol, looking on political stuff. The whole interconnection and working with Senator Wellstone, Paul Wellstone, soon to become Senator Wellstone. There's so many individual fond memories, it would be really tough to pick one out as a
Okay.
favorite.
That's all right.
Yeah, just lots.
What are some of the things, and be honest about some of the things that used to happen on the boat trips?
Well, we had a lot of fun on the sailboats, and sometimes things would get a little stressful. And it would kind of be like grumpy old men for a little while.
Who was grumpy? Ken?
Both of them. They both had their moments. They both had their moments. That's all I'll say.
But Ken would tell people more to do things, right? Didn't you go with Dan? And Dan was always the one. Dan was always kind of laughing at his father's gruffness.
Yeah.
Well,
They would get into it a little bit back and forth.
and the difference in their personality was fun. You know, my husband Herman and Ken, the personalities was so funny. But Ken was captain of the boat. He was doing everything, and Herman was just everybody quiet. We're not saying anything. I'm sorry you don't have the girls. That trip was hysterical. Any one of his daughters, Ken's daughters, and one of mine who's here, the men went on with all their daughters went for 1 week or so. And they tell stories that are very funny. Then I was waiting to have a baby, and they just had Jossie, and then I had my David. He's one of the sons of my David, so it's been a long
time.
And then after we lived we moved away and moved to a few places, including Chicago, and we finally settled in Minnesota, down the road from them.
Yeah.
My name is Shuckman.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
Maybe God's 91.
Well,
92.
Jossie was born in.
How long have you known him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Birth of David was born 48. And let's see, David was born in 50 in Minnesota.
My dad, 49.
David
50.
was Yeah, he was born
right.
in the 50s,
You were there.
and we knew them, just before 50 when we moved away, soon after 1950. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
And we moved here.
90s.
Yeah, 89 or 90 was when Sam was born.
Oh.
That's his sister. We've known them for a long time.
Long time. Do you have a favorite memory that you can think of off the top of your head?
No, it was just with friends for a long time. I do remember Rachel more than she was a dear friend of mine,
Yes.
as Ken was. Strange just not having them around.
Yeah.
I've known the Tilsens since the late 40s, I think. What is that, 60 years?
Long
And I
time.
first met Rachel at a peace rally. And the minute I saw her, and she decided we were going to be friends forever. We were almost friends forever. And it's been a long journey and a joyous one.
Do you remember the very first time you met Ken?
Yeah, I met Ken shortly after I met Rachel. And that night we brought our husbands together at a meeting, or actually a dinner. And Ken spent until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning educating me in some piece of history I wanted to know about. So he was an educator, and so was Rachel.
Yeah.
Very dynamic, incredible people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tireless in the work for justice and civil rights.
I mean, Grandpa had a lot of dimension to me for a lot of different reasons. But when I was growing up, he was my main caregiver when I was sick, and
It's okay.
it gave us a lot of time to be just him and I. And I got to see him in a different light than I think most people, because most people see him as a warrior and someone who was fearless. And I saw him as my grandpa, who was afraid for his granddaughter, but always steadfast and always made me feel like I'm here, and no matter when I'm with you, that you'll be safe and you're going to be okay. And he always made me feel that way, even as an adult. And so that's what I miss the most. I literally just tried to call like a week ago without even thinking, just wanting to hear his voice and tell me that everything's going to be all right. So I miss my grandpa. One of my favorite memories was actually very recently, was the anniversary of Wounded Knee. I had to pick him up from the airport, and I was driving him to the res. And the sun was setting, and he was holding my hand, and he was singing. And Grandpa's a notoriously terrible singer. But it was just peaceful and beautiful, and he was in such high spirits and so excited about seeing his friends and about being back on that land and talking about what it was like during Wounded Knee and how his history connects to my history. And, being Lakota and Jewish, and how much pride he had in his grandchildren, that we were still so devoted to the land and the people of that community. And it really meant a lot to me. And it was like just special moments with him that I hold very sacred and that I miss.
I knew Ken through the peace movement primarily, although my former husband worked as a law clerk at Robbins Davis Alliance. But in 1967 and 68, I was in charge of the McCarthy headquarters, and we had a lot of interactions around the first district with Ken. And Rachel came in and worked very much. So, and later, my former husband shared law offices with Ken.
Oh, nice.
I've known him since 1967 and admired him really, really well. I mean, since 1967. And have admired him since 1967. A man of great integrity, courage, and lots of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Thank you. Well, thank you for being here today.
yeah. Well, wouldn't miss it. He is a great man.
My relationship was they basically adopted me as their daughter. And, they sent me to college, University of Minnesota. I was embraced by the family. They embraced me and I embraced them. And it was during the civil rights era that I met them. And over a period of time, I became, part of the family. I think in talking about Ken or Rachel, actually, they were just true blue people. They practiced what they preach and what they believed. They were very active and engaged in politics, local and national politics, trying to make a difference in the world. And I would say, adopting me and sending me to college, that's making a difference.
Yeah. Do you remember the very first time that you met him?
I came here with two other young people as a part of the civil rights movement, raising funds for the Greenwood SNCC project. And so when we came here, some of the people that was already here introduced us to Ken and Rachel. Rachel said to us that if we ever wanted to go to college, come back to Minnesota, and she would make sure that we got an education. And so at some point, I decided to take them up on it. I mean, it was frightening. It was on the edge. It was terrifying. And how do you leave all that you know and all that's familiar to go stay with some white folks who go to school? But I had the guts to do it, and I did it. And so it was probably one of the best decisions that I made in my life. And it was cold when I got it was so cold here. And every day I was going to go home and go back to the city.
Yeah.
But that's kind of they might be my siblings, I mean, they embraced me too. It wasn't just Ken and Rachel, but it was Mark and Danny and Judy and Jossie and David, who also, embraced me. And so, that's, I think, was one of the most fascinating things, about Ken and Rachel. I mean, they how they lived what they believed, and demonstrated it every day.
Ken meant a great deal to me. He's my father-in-law, and Jossie and I were married like 26 or 27 years ago, but we were dated for about 5 years. And during my time dating with Jossie, I spent a lot of time with Ken and Rachel and Jossie's family. And it was interesting to me to understand goodness at such a fundamental level throughout their entire family, and what people did for each other and in their community, just in an effort to make things better. So I learned an awful lot about how to see that and how to participate in that. And Ken is, he's like the leader, and Rachel's the leader, and there was no sitting down or sitting back and letting the parade go by. You jumped up and you got in line, and you had a great time in that parade, and that's how you do it. And a couple people talked about Rachel and how she said, Bill Kunstler, he's just a lawyer, he says to Gayla. She said to Gayla, he's just another human being, that's all. He's another human being, he's just like you and me. And Ken was like that too. Ken would say, well, don't worry about that. Think about what you want and how you can get it. And you know what? You can get what you want, and someone else can have what they want as well. You can get both things in an argument. You don't have to stand the line, and it's through conversation. And he used to say, our friends on the other side, our friends who are the opposition or who think differently than us, our friends who oppose us. He'd always use that terminology, and he'd smile when he said it. And that smile loosens everything up. And so I'll always remember that about Ken is how much he smiled and he laughed and he had jokes, and he also was so passionate, and the broadness of his personality, and then how I see that distributed in the family, and the family is not just the family of Tilsens, it's the family of Ken and Rachel's relationships in the world. It's huge, and I'll forever be grateful for this opportunity to have had 30-some years of being close enough to Ken to ask him important questions. And he always told me, my father passed away about 22 years ago now, I think. But Ken always told me when my dad died, I was kind of lost. And he said, it's really hard losing your dad. He said, it's really hard losing your dad. And I says, yeah, it is. And he says, and you won't really know what that means for a while. Yeah, just hang in there. He gave me the old, shot in the arm. But anyway, yeah, so I've missed him since he's been gone, and to celebrate him today was a real gift.
It's not a very popular narrative to talk about how an activist Jew lawyer got rich. It's not a very popular, safe-feeling narrative to be part of. And he did make a lot of money on a handful of cases. And it was one of the great mysteries of his life that he was able to do so much and managed to be a very good capitalist at the same time. And it's a weird version of success, is being incredibly activist, incredibly in the struggle, and financially secure at the same time. And because of the decisions he's made in his life, our family is safer and better off from it. And he was able to support a lot of different people and a lot of different movements because of it. I miss my grandpa. And it's sad that he's gone. And it's also the least tragic death I've ever been a part of. I don't think he left anything unsaid. And his work that was left undone was given over to another generation. And he died well. He lived well, and he fought as hard as he could for as long as he could. And I'm not sure you can ask much more of that out of somebody.
Ken through his sons David and Mark. I worked for David and Mark at Direct Expressions for 5 years. And that's how I got to know Ken and Rachel. It's the Tilsen family.
Any favorite memory or special memory you have of Ken?
Wait, no, turn that off.
Sure, I'll stop it.
I'm just trying to.
That's all right. You have to think.
What do you mean? I never really worked right directly with him or anything. I just knew that he was a hard worker and raised some wonderful children. Children. Yeah.
Well, I've known Kimberly since 2007. I don't think I've met Dan for a while. But in 2008, the Republican National Convention came to St. Paul, and a bunch of young activists were arrested. They became known as the RNC-8. And Ken was one of the advisors on their sort of combined legal defense team, which was populated with lawyers from the National Lawyers Guild, that kind of activist lawyers. And so it took me a while to realize that Ken was related to Kimberly and Dan. So, but he was definitely a hero, because when you're an activist, you need activist lawyers, And those guys, just meeting all those people around the time of the sort of RNC aftermath, it was just amazing to see lawyers that cared about things that really mattered to me, you know. You kind of lawyers get a bad rap. They're like ambulance chasers and costing a lot of money and that kind of thing. But these were kind of like lawyers who were superheroes in a way. And hearing the way that all the lawyers like Bruce Nestor and Jordan and Bill Tilsen and all those guys, hearing how they talk about Ken is really instructive as well, because he's like their hero, you know. If there are heroes, he's like their hero. And I got to spend Passover with them this year, which was amazing. Hadn't done a Passover before. I don't think I'll probably ever have done a Passover quite like that one again. Heavy political content and a lot of good challenging stuff. But anyway, just to conclude, Ken, it's one thing that's absolutely obvious about Ken is he lives on in the community that he left behind him, and he inspired and helped a lot of people, and he's in that sort of on that level he will never die. You know, he's got so many grateful people out there, and even people who weren't directly connected with his life, like myself. Just knowing that he lived was really important.
Well, I am Rebecca Tilsen, Ken Tilsen's granddaughter. And one time I interviewed Grandpa on a video. I think I was just wanting to do some documentation of family history, and I just got excited about it, and I borrowed a video camera from Kumar, and I went to Grandpa's house and I set up a video camera and I interviewed him, and I just remember the first thing that he said was he introduced himself, and he said, you know, I'm Ken Tilsen, and then he said, maybe he said the date, and he said his age, and then he said, but most importantly, I'm Rebecca Tilsen's granddaughter. And it just made me so tickled when he said that, and it felt like really playful and really sweet. And I actually couldn't tell that he really wanted to be interviewed by me. So the fact that he said that was just really pulled me into the moment and the exchange, and it made me really giggle and laugh and relax. So sweet. So that's one memory, and then he told wonderful stories, and he's always, you know, you ask him a question and he never really answers, he never really tells you the thing that you want to hear, and he sometimes doesn't even answer the question that you think you asked. He answers a question underneath it, or something that he finds more relevant or interesting, or he'll kind of answer your question in this roundabout way, in a way that he doesn't answer it. So I remember that, and I remember that he has just like such a amazing laugh. That, you know, he, for all of the hard things that he saw and the places that he put himself and the sorrow and the struggle, he had this really joy, he just enjoyed life, and he found things to laugh at, and that's one of the things that I will remember, is the way that he was able to find joy in all places.
I feel really wonderful about how it went today. We just had such a moving collection of people talking and remembering and sharing insights about him. You know, I always think in these times when we have a memorial, you know, or sitting Shiva, or having these, you know, times coming together when someone has died, it's, you get these people who put all these different facets of a person's life together in one time in one place, and so you just get these dimensions of who he was and how he touched people and what kind of what kind of life he lived and what impact his existence here had on people's, on people from here on out. I'm one of Ken's daughter-in-laws. I'm married to his oldest son, David. And my earliest memory of Ken was at a Minnesota 8 rally, I think, a gathering of some kind. But David and I have been together since 1972, so we have 3 children and 2 grandchildren, and Ken has been really important. I'm going to cry if I really no, but he has just been one of the main supportive, constant, steady presence in my life. I love him deeply. And always so supportive of me and my music and my songwriting. He always said I made him cry whenever I sang. He would be crying, whether it was at a family gathering or in some kind of big public event or concert or whatever. So I just feel. I think what people express today about how, knowing him, he always touched on and bolstered the best of you, brought out. Just respected and was so open and giving, on a personal level to people. I felt that so much for him as a father and as a friend and as a family member and as a person living a life of great integrity and just amazing person.